Would you have been lobbying for more help to come to Benghazi?
I'd probably be doing more than lobbying.
What's your overall impression of the ARB report?
Ambassador Pickering referred to the ARB as being fiercely independent. In that same hearing, Admiral Mullen admitted to Oversight and Government Reform that he was reporting on ARB proceedings to the senior staff of the State Department. I don't think that fits anyone's definition of being fiercely independent.
It was anything but independent. What's it going to take? They didn't follow their own standards that were developed in 1983 after the Beirut embassy bombing. They didn't follow the waiver process to deviate from those standards. And now they're not following the best practices panel's #1 recommendation. Talk about the arrogance of the State Department.
Well, that was Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan today in the very first hearing of the Benghazi Select Committee, questioning the findings of the State Department's Accountability Review Board, or ARB. That comes as we get reports this week that Hillary Clinton's advisors may have helped tamper with documents, remove them at least, relating to the attack that killed 4 Americans before those documents were handed over to investigators working for the ARB. Congressman Jim Jordan is a member of the Benghazi Select Committee and a member of the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee. Congressman, good to see you tonight. So let's just start in reverse order. I wanted to start by asking you about this report. Cheryl Atkinson she broke it. Raymond Maxwell, former head of the Bureau of Near Eastern Affairs, is claiming that, and this is a man who said he voted for Barack Obama, he was a Hillary Clinton supporter, but he claims that he walked into the State Department one night and that they were scrubbing documents. And he told Cheryl, he walked in and they told me, Ray, we are to go through these stacks, pull out anything that might put anybody in the Near Eastern Affairs front office or the 7th floor, that was Hillary's floor, in a bad light. He claims he responded, isn't that unethical? And he was told, Ray, those are our orders. He said 2 Hillary Clinton confidants were allegedly there, including Hillary's chief of staff. Do you believe it?
Cheryl Mills, yeah. Well, it certainly needs to be looked into. First, when you have a State Department employee who's an eyewitness to what he claims to be a crime, that needs to be investigated. Second, Cheryl Atkinson, a respected journalist, she thinks this source, Ray Maxwell, is a good enough source that she can report and break this story. And third, and probably most importantly, it fits the story. It fits the narrative. Remember, this Accountability Review Board was handpicked by Secretary Clinton and Cheryl Mills. They selected Admiral Mullen and Ambassador Pickering to the board. They got to see a draft copy before it went public. So in essence, they got to make edits to the report.
Well, if they handpicked the people at the top of it, why would they have to scrub the documents before they went up to the people they had handpicked?
Well, but they're still picking people who have good public careers. I mean, Admiral Mullen is a distinguished member of the United States military. He was, so they're still picking good people here, but they controlled this process. So maybe they thought they still had to make sure certain documents weren't going to get in their hands.
This guy Maxwell was one of the 4, I think, people who ultimately did face some discipline.
He did.
In the wake of Benghazi. The State Department is painting him as disgruntled, and the State Department is denying the Atkinson report.
And he may be, but we need to investigate it. That's one of the things I think the committee needs to look at. And remember, as we highlighted in today's hearing, talked about in today's hearing, Admiral Mullen called up Cheryl Mills after he had interviewed one of the people, Charlene Lamb, who was supposed to come in front of the Congressional Committee the very next day. He calls up Cheryl Mills and says, hey, Charlene Lamb's not going to be a good witness when she goes in front of the Congress. She's not going to reflect well in the State Department. Now, what is the guy who's supposed to do an independent investigation calling the chief of staff to Secretary Clinton and telling her someone's not going to be a good witness? What's he doing giving a heads-up call to someone he's supposed to be investigating?
You're basically trying to discredit the ARB, which Hillary and the State Department continuously point to as exoneration in their view for conscious wrongdoing on their part.
Megyn, I'm not trying to discredit it. It's already discredited. The idea that it's the end-all, be-all, blue ribbon commission, everything's fine, is just not accurate. They picked who were on the panel, and when the person who co-chairs the panel calls up the chief of staff to the secretary and says, hey, you got a witness who's not going to reflect good on the State Department, how can you be given a heads up if you're supposed to be doing an impartial investigative work and get to the truth? So I don't think we need to discredit. They discredited themselves. Admiral Mullen told that under deposition, gave us that information.
Trey Gowdy told Greta earlier that they'd be looking into Mr. Maxwell's report as well, that you guys will be, and we'll hear both sides on it. Congressman, good to see you.